Are we going to see a definitive change from Oliver after he's released from prison and sort of his personality and the way that he adjusts to being on the outside again?
Yeah. I spent a lot of time talking with Beth about Oliver when he gets out, because I felt like in the first episode this year, we were really trying to charge ahead with a lot of cool new ideas, but it didn't necessarily lend the proper weight to what happened at the end of season 6 in an episode that's titled Life Sentence. You know, one of the first drafts in the early part of, in the first episode of season 7, focused a lot on Oliver focusing on good behavior so that he would get released. And I was like, well, I mean, one way or the other, he's been in there for 5-7 months, whatever the case may be. What? He's got at least 14, 15 to go if he has good behavior. So we changed the focus a little bit. Same thing happened when I read episode 8. I know they wanted Oliver back in the world, and he is, in a new and exciting way. Concurrently, it felt like we were treating my experience at Slabside like I spent a night in county jail. Right? When in actuality, even for Oliver, it was a pretty horrific experience. So I did want a change in him. I wanted a change in him in the way that he interacts with people, with the public, and even so far as his wardrobe. I went to Maya and I'm like, Oliver's in his mid-30s, he's a former politician. I want him to dress a little bit more like he used to dress for Sunday brunch at the Queen Mansion. I want him to, I mean, waspy's the wrong word, but it's not totally the wrong word, but that's not what we were going for. But, you know, I wanted him to, you know, in the first episode that I'm out, we had me going to a gala, and I was in sort of like the same suit that I would wear as the mayor. I didn't like that. So we pushed that in a different direction. And part of the fun of this year is I've pitched a bunch of stuff, and I think that not the opening scene of episode 8, but the first time that you see Oliver, we came up with a really interesting way, I think, of showing what prison life did to him without really bashing people over the head with it.
How does he see his role as the protector of the city now that he's out, and this new Green Arrow?
Well, he runs into the new Green Arrow, or runs into the new Green Arrow's exploits pretty quickly. But coming out of prison, he gets asked that specific question very early on, like, what are you gonna do? And he says, I'm gonna try and do what you guys did, which is just find a different way to help the city. We come up with that idea pretty quickly, but I think one of the fun things is it's not Oliver who comes up with it.
Oliver decided to leave Diaz alive at the end when he leaves prison. Will he come to regret that decision, and will that decision influence his relationship with Felicity when he gets back?
His decision to leave Diaz alive will not influence his relationship with Felicity, but I think it's going to have an incredibly impactful moment on another person that he's very close with. I don't know if he'll come to regret the decision, actually. Probably. But you know, those are maybe that's part of the new Oliver post-prison, is those are the decisions that he has to live with. You know, even if ultimately the best thing to do would have been to not leave him alive. We shall see.
Can you talk about, for those who haven't seen it, can you preview a little bit about Oliver and Felicity's reunion, and also how Oliver's going to kind of react or reconcile this new version of Felicity's little darker side of her?
We have some really fantastic scenes in 8. I mean, obviously we see each other for the first time at the end of 7, but then pretty quickly I learned that, you know, a lot of the stuff that Diaz was saying about Felicity is true, and I thought the way that we worked it out, and we do work it out pretty quickly, we come to an understanding that look, nothing's ever going to be perfect. You know, we one of the other things that we talked about a lot is Oliver can't live in a normal apartment building anymore, right? I thought that they should militarize the Queen Mansion. I got shot down. I don't think we could afford to do that. But nothing's ever going to be perfect or normal about our relationship. And I think that the sooner that the two of them accept that, the sooner that they can move on with their lives.
The horrible things that happen on level 2, as far as, brainwashing you or conditioning you or whatever, that break the cycle, your cycle of violence. Do you think that's ultimately, even though it was a horrible thing, how it was done, is that going to be a positive for Oliver going forward?
Absolutely.
To change his
Yeah,
life?
it teaches him a net lesson. I think that the person who was trying to teach him that didn't use the most nice tactics to get him there. So I think that the answer is a little less black and white, but it definitely teaches him something, and it's addressed, I think, in the first episode after he leaves prison, and sort of what his new mantra is going to be if and when he puts the suit back on.